So much of life is about perspective. When I ask myself whether the glass is half empty or half full, why would I pick half empty?
If I won the lottery, would I still want to do what I do? Yeah. You know, you gotta combine what you love with what you do.
We've got to share our ideas.
We've got to channel our energy
We've got to restart our dreams.
and make them real.
I'm David Yuck here. I'm currently the CEO of a company called 33 Delivered. It is a digital service and content development company. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, have worked with some of the great companies, and have invested badly and have had successes and failures. And again, like many people, find myself in a place where it's time to reinvent myself.
I'm Leslie Singer. I'm Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of a company called HS Dominion. Actually, I think the last 3 years have been a constant quest of reinvention. Even within the 2 years that we've had the current company, we've had to reinvent to keep it going.
I think there are those people that be inspired by success stories, and I think we have one coming up,
Yes.
an interview that
Yes,
you did,
yes.
a segment with, I believe, Anea Bachi.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting on how he reinvented himself.
I'd like to add that he is along the lines of the people that we talk about. How do you take your past expertise and bring it forward into something that gets reinvented? So it's not about going back and having that, but it's how to sort of, again, shape shift it into something that's really doable now. So let's take a look.
All right.
I want to introduce you all to Anea Bachi here at Lobster Landing. Your quality is really what sets you apart from everybody else. I mean, you're very meticulous, and the fact that you go out of state to get the bread, it's all of those little things. Can you speak to that sort of sensibility?
I am European, and we only like lobster in certain ways, which is basically steam and with melted butter and lemon. So we decided, why don't we do a lobster roll instead of doing full lobster steam, because it's impossible. The lobster is in a crock pot, not in a crock pot, but it's in a pot that it contains a brine of basically lobster bisque type of.
Right.
We just warm them up, and we just simply put in a toaster roll with the melted butter and lemon, very simple. I'm 68 years old. I reached my point in life that and I'm comfortable. The idea of the lobster roll, I could have done it 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I would have made a franchise out of it.
Right, okay.
But
That's exactly where I'm going,
But
right?
at this time on my life, I'm fairly comfortable. We are happy what we are doing. We are working 8 months, and we are taking 4 months off for ourselves. And yes, there is tremendous possibility of growing in your business.
But that's not your...
I think you have to be realistic of the age factor and also the willing factor.
Right.
We are not that hungry to improve and increase. People there to search within themselves what they really want to do. If they have a knowledge of something, then they should stay within that knowledge. I didn't have any knowledge of lobster, but I was lucky enough that I had the fishermen that they helped me tremendously to learn about it. They became my teachers. If you try something and the first year is not working, don't give up. Because for us, it didn't work for 5 years. Perseverance. You have to stay, because eventually things are going to turn around. For us, they turned around in 2002. Obviously, if you lost your job or you laid off or whatever, you work until the age of 55 or 60, you know that you must have learned 10 zillion things in those 35 years of your career. Put them to work. That's basically. But stay in reality, because our reality is this. I have a very small staff. 90% of them, except for 2 people, they are part-time, but they are loyal. They come back. They are high school and college kids, but they come back time and time again.
Well, thank you very, very much.
You're
This
welcome.
is really great, and I know that I'm here a lot with your lobster rolls, so thanks so much.
It seems to me he came out of the restaurant business.
Yes, he
so
had a
he's
full-fledged-
in familiar territory.
Exactly.
But there's a big difference in
Well,
what he was doing.
I think what he exemplifies is really taking his traditional background in classic restaurant tourism and sort of going into something that was smaller, workable, and he had to reteach himself. He knew nothing about lobsters, he pointed out. He's allowed the fishermen to sort of educate him. He knew enough about culinary sensibilities to hunt down the best roll he could, and that took a while, and he said it took him 2 years to perfect everything. But I love the fact that they don't want more than they have.
Right. Is he consider it sort of a semi-retirement?
He works 7 days a week, minus the 4 months he takes off. 7 days a week, that place is open.
And he closes shop the 4
He
months.
opens it and he closes it. You can see him there every single day.
Well, there's something to be said for people who can maintain that entrepreneurship.
I think it's a necessity on some level or another, or you're going to have to go get a job that will be something that won't even remotely resemble what you used to know. I mean, it gets back to what you and I have talked about. Those that want their life back and those that need to move forward.
Right.
I don't believe the life as we knew it is really going to come back. But maybe that's maybe that's the negative side. I'm not
And
sure.
we'll find solutions and answers for
I
them
hope
too.
so.
Hi, I'm Will from Random Events. I started Random Events because there are so many things to do in this world that people don't know about. I wanted to get people together, do something different, and have a fun, unique way to make friends.
It's exactly what you guys did before, okay?
Every year, we try to do something different, and people love it. These are not typical New York City activities. And what's a better way to do it than to do it with a group of people that are interested in doing the same thing, that never knew these activities existed, and hey, we're out there having fun.
Will, you came out of Lehman Brothers.
Correct.
So what did you do? You left Lehman, and what made you decide to go the entrepreneur route?
I didn't actually plan on doing the entrepreneur route. It was more of, oh my God, what am I going to do? Let me do something for free. So let me get a bunch of people together so I can negotiate some rates and, kind of throw in a, hey, let me do this, for free. Then from there, kind of took off and was like, wow, I can make this a real business. And then it became.
Wait a minute. So you planned, what can I do for free with a group of people?
Yeah. So prior to actually creating the company, I was the person that everyone knew as the organizer. So I actually had a list of about 700 people, and I used to use Evites to be like, hey, I'm going to have a party. Hey, I'm going to go rafting. So then when Lehman went under, I was just like, what am I going to do? Well, let me do some more trips. Let me do some fun stuff. And I saw a meetup, and I was like, well, I used to use this for dancing and joining other groups. So I was like, let me create my own group. And then from there, it kind of just slowly by slowly, actually quickly by quickly, started getting more members, and it was like, wow, this is becoming a business. Obviously, you guys know that I did have cancer in the past, so that definitely threw a part in it. I've had some family members pass away. Having friends there, being by my side, I really knew what friendship and that group experience needed. Traveling a lot, I definitely know that when you go somewhere new, it's really good to have a friend. And I think that all kind of plays into it, especially now with the recession of everyone trying to save money and not having the cash. I think that we had that niche of going, hey, look, do something together, get a bunch of people together, save some money, have fun, make some friends, and hopefully build some long-term relationships.
You don't really have a big game plan, do you, with it? Or is it starting to?
So initially, after the first year, there was more of, hey guys, and I would email people, what do you want to do? How do you want to see this? Help me help you kind of thing.
Right.
Now it's becoming more of, okay, let's make sure that people get better discounts. How can we strategize, get more members so we can leverage discounts? So we're trying to put more strategy around it now. Because it would work if we didn't, but I think that it would help our members a lot better if we do.
Did you build a business plan against this, or did you work sort of bottom up?
I get the idea it was bottom up.
Yeah, it's completely bottom up. I mean, it wasn't, the goal of the group was not to make money. When you see people that are integrating each other, talking to each other, and they build these friendships where they start hanging out after our group, that really shows me, wow, we're doing something really good. But having the ability to be so dynamic and go,
Right.
hey, I want to do charity stuff. Hey, I want to help a small business. Hey, I want to get great discounts. So we've partnered up with like Columbia and Vitamin Water to bring drinks to the events where it costs nothing to the members, but they're getting something out of it.
How many events do you actually do a year like that?
So in total, we've done 108.
So how many people do you think are involved in total right now?
Well, I mean, we have 3,800 members.
But they all have specific things they like to do. They don't all attend each and every one of the meetups.
Yeah, so, and you see this, and it's a big trend, especially, I guess, New York or this time, is you get the foodies, right?
Yeah.
So the people that love to go out and taste things. So we definitely see a big influx of, hey, can we do another cooking class? Or can we do a baking class? We have, a Moroccan tasting coming up.
So I would think you're pretty busy with all of these events. I mean, setting them up and making sure everyone's happy and getting other people and manning the website and making these deals. So it seems to be...
So after a few months, you can quickly see, wow, this is taking off, and okay, yeah, we should probably, I was like, we definitely need to have someone else. Hence my partner Cecilia, who would love to be here today, but she's not feeling very well.
Oh, sorry.
So between the two of us, with our BlackBerry and iPhones and Skype and all this other tools, we're able to get everything done in a timely manner and set these things up with all different businesses.
Well, I don't need to have too much ESP to see great success here. I mean, it's a fantastic idea. And one of the things that I really love about it is as you see so many online communities growing where they really don't interact, it's very interesting what you've done. You've created an online community that actually interacts and touches one another.
And interestingly enough, just the opposite of what's always happened with
Yes.
technology.
Yes.
Technology has always been the extension
Yes.
of something live in person. When what you've created is an extension of the Facebook life. You've brought them out of the computer so they're not speaking to each other strictly online.
Right.
You've brought them together and you've brought them in a personal way.
And so many wonderful events that prove that people are alive and well. There's a sort of this haze where you think people aren't doing these things anymore. They're staying online, they're looking at HuffPost, they're looking at the Facebook, they're going on their blogs, they're doing all of these, Xbox and gaming and all of that where there isn't that touchy-feely interaction. So, hats off, because I think you're just bringing heart and soul and connectivity in such a fresh way.
Thank you.
The big question is whether or not to continue in the stamp business or whether to go and do something else.
Is there really a career to be made in stamp collecting or an expertise?
What would be your ideal segue? I mean, would it be to get another job? Would it be to stay independent?
At the moment, I've yet to decide what to do.
Why don't we
Bring on the coach.
bring on the coach?
The process of creating a new life for yourself doesn't unfold logically. You can't think yourself into a new career. What are the questions that are in front of you right now about your career and really about your life as well?
Questions? Well, basically, I'm in a situation where at some stage in the future I'm going to have to find some form of employment. And the big question is whether or not to continue in the stamp business or whether to go and do something else. If you want to authenticate a stamp, one of the more important things is to check on the watermarks. They're both genuine, and you just put a little fluid. This is essentially Freon, and this is multiple script, where the CA is in script letters as opposed to block letters.
One of the possibilities was real estate. So I want to explore that a little bit, and I want to explore what your interests are and also what your relevant skills might be that you can communicate.
Okay.
Within fields that have low entry barriers, and real estate's a good example because it's not that difficult to get into, there's a fair amount of competition, and it fairly quickly gets sorted out into people who are hobbyists and will not make it over the long haul, and those who are more consistently successful.
It's a question of how dynamic you are, I suppose, and I am very detail-oriented. Perforations are measured in the United States using this, which is a specialist gauge, and you see just it fits nicely on that gauge there. This one, the old instanter as it's called, basically the stamp is lined up on a black background, and in fact you just line up the holes as opposed to the actual teeth, and again you're going to come out with 12 on here. You may be perceiving that that I'm not really ready to leave the stamp business.
I think that's totally normal. Leslie, it's Michael.
Oh, hey babe, how's it going?
So I just met with Richard.
I kind of thought it was tough to get through to him. I don't know how you felt about it.
Richard, like everybody else, needs to come up with methods where he can go out and experiment, make connections, and gradually figure out for himself what he wants to do.
What do we really do with people who really don't know what they want?
You can do two things. One, you can help them assess their strengths and how those might be transferable to other areas without using the same labels. And two, you can help them figure out what is actually holding them back, whether it's a sense of frustration or a lack of optimism, or maybe some kinds of communication problems they haven't really focused in on.
How do you see what we don't?
Everybody thinks that their situation is very particular to themselves, but many of us, all of us, are kind of going through the same situation.
If we're going to do this on a continuing basis, I guess my question would be, what do you think the rules should be then?
The rules should be, we have to get to the point very quickly. They have to be open to learning, and they have to keep in touch with us afterwards so we can see what's happening later after the session. Because change doesn't happen in 10 minutes or an hour, it happens over a period of months and years.
Hey babe, I want your job.
Check my online listings to see if there are any openings.
I need to find a place where I can live that I love, which to me was sort of the country, that didn't cost a lot of money and that maybe I could move to with friends. And I built a barn, is what I did. And I did a lot of this with two of my friends. All three of us are single at the moment. So we all said, gosh, we could live in this fabulous place together if we put all our money together.
Now we have Charlotte Albright, who has a really interesting story about a woman who has a vision of creating what the baby boomers might have called a commune, but maybe not. Welcome, Charlotte. Maybe you can fill us in. I believe you talked to a woman called Zoe Leader.
Right.
You can tell us a little about her.
She's about 61 years old. She wants to gather friends of a certain age, two women in particular who have houses in Los Angeles, and she's bought some land north of there and wants to kind of start a collective housing situation. Let's put it that way. I call it a collective more than a commune because she's bought the land, she's built a barn, and now she wants to rehab it in such a way that these friends could move in. Maybe they'd have their own kitchens, maybe they wouldn't. They haven't designed the whole thing yet, but they have a vision. She is a little bit stuck right now, and there's a reason for that. So let's take a look and find out why.
All right, let's go.
I'm a single person. I don't want to live alone. I don't want my own house. I want my own room. I have a lot of friends who are in, kind of that position of being 60, 70 and, don't have a job or can't find one or, have money problems of one kind or another. And they're people with fantastic energy and that people you'd want to be around. I mean, the plan was perfect. We would all sell our houses, we would have money, we all, would get a certain pension and, Social Security, and that small amount of money that could never keep us all going individually together could mean we could do this whole thing. So the two other women who have their family homes, like I did, can't sell their houses at the moment. I'm trying to get over the hump in my brain of the fact that we're stuck.
So if I were to call you back in a year, where do you think this project would be?
Oh, I hope it's, we're making jams and selling them around and, doing a little bed and breakfast.
So when you get this thing started, I'm moving out there.
I want you to come.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hang up now so that
Okay.
you can go back to work and go find a buyer for those houses, and
Okay.
I'll be back in touch.
All right, Charlotte, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, she's just lovely.
I think that there is this yearning among a lot of baby boomers for that kind of collective spirit we felt in the 60s, and some of us feel we lost it. Maybe we even sold out in some ways, and we want it back.
Yeah, it's amazing because the sort of rethinking about a way of living together and taking it even one step further of helping one another and caring for one another is probably the next step. And
I think that's key. I think that's what Zoe's put her finger on, something that's creative, where people will continue to create, where they might share meals, where they will conserve and preserve the land and care about their community, not quite like gating themselves off. Maybe a lot of us did think we were going to retire to some sort of Shangri-La, and you know what? We're not.
Right.
So economically, this makes so much sense. So what few resources we might have left, if we can pool them and not have 5 different houses with jacuzzi tubs, but one with one nice one, and share that, that makes economic sense too. And that means that we're not sort of eating up the resources that we have put aside, whatever they may be at this point, for something that gets replicated a block down the road.
And another thing about Zoe in particular is you don't get the feeling she's creating this as someplace to go away and die,
Right.
or go away and retire.
Quite the opposite.
She's seeing it as an extraordinary adventure in life, a way of living life that's terribly exciting.
It's a beautiful story.
It really is. What we'd like to know first is, what is an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm always hesitant to use that word entrepreneur. I always call myself a businessman. An entrepreneur has an odd connotation to it, so to me it's the ability to take an idea and actualize the idea is what makes an entrepreneur or a true businessman. And I've been successful doing that for 30-odd years.
All right, so we have a call coming in.
Hello, this is Ned Trace. I'm down in Atlanta, and I saw the video about the man up in Connecticut who's got the lobster roll business, and I've got a question. I think I've got a great idea to do something similar down here with a fried catfish sandwich that I could put on one of those new gourmet food trucks and roll around the city, selling it. I'm just wondering if Mr. Singer thinks that's a good business.
It's really a very simple exercise that you need to do. A, determine how much money you have. B, will it be enough to get you through the first year to 2 years? And you start by going out and sourcing what the cost of a food truck is going to be, where do you get it from, how do you outfit it, and then determine what products you want to sell. And assuming it's a catfish sandwich for the moment, and you try to work out the cost of that catfish sandwich, and you know that it cost, hypothetically, it cost $1, and you take that $1 and you calculate out how many sandwiches that you're going to have to sell to pay back the investment that you're going to make. And if you sell the sandwich for $5 and it costs you $1, you're making $4 every sandwich, then you just sit down and calculate out how many sandwiches you have to sell within a day, within a week, within a year, and can it be done, and can you pay off your investment? And after you pay off your investment, is there enough money left over for you to live on?
If I was going to look for somebody down here who could give me advice, somebody in the restaurant business or a businessman, who should I go to?
It depends who you are and how much money you have in your pocket will determine where you want to go. If you are somebody who does not have a lot of money, then there's a group called SCORE, S-C-O-R-E, in Atlanta that will certainly listen to what you have to say, and it's free advice. It's a matter of you setting up an appointment with them, and it's a government-run, volunteer-run organization that will teach you how to write a business plan.
I believe you asked whether somebody would tell you whether it's a good idea or not. Was that part of the question?
Good or bad, exactly.
For some reason, it's part of human nature to poke holes. People want to save you from yourself or from their own fears, but our recommendation, at least my recommendation, would be to listen to yourself first, gather all the information. Your gut instinct, your drive, your ambition, and your vision will separate you from the naysayers, I believe.
I think I've got the ambition part. So thanks for listening. I'm going to hang up and get to work.
We both have friends that are either frozen in fear or they're reinventing. We always keep going back and forth. What do we do with the people that are frozen in fear about
who aren't relevant?
Yes.
Anymore, or who can't find the relevancy?
Well, everybody's relevant. It's a misnomer. People think that they're forgotten. They're not forgotten. They've got talent. Anybody who's working in a position, I don't care what level it's at. You spent 10, 15 years. You are relevant and you have learned skills. You have to take those skills, which many of them are transferable, and apply it to something that's new. It requires you to become creative, which is the hardest thing for people to be, because they've never been creative before. And our job is to make them aware that they can be creative, that they are not forgotten, and that they have tremendous assets within themselves. They just have to get those assets out and on the table and develop those assets, and it will lead them to new vistas. And I think that's important because, again, people do look at it and panic about my kids in college, and we all have those conversations.
Right.
And how are we going to survive? We all have those conversations. It's the ability to overcome those fears, to look at the greater picture, is where we come into play. And I think all these people, you know, when you strip it all away, they still have their passion for life. You just have to find out what that passion is and how do you capitalize on that passion. Don't look at the minutiae, look at the big picture. And remember that it's out there for you. And I always tell people, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Easily done. It's just drive and determination and passion for what you believe in, at any age. And you can be 50 going on 25, you can be 60 going on 30.
Love that.
That's a fact. Well, thank you for having me on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. I'm going out and starting a new business now.
I want to do cream.
I wake up every morning with a lot of questions, and on a good day, I get paid to find the answers.
East Burke, Vermont. It's nestled in a beautiful but not very prosperous part of the state known as the Northeast Kingdom. Now, there used to be more cows than people around here, but the dairy industry is in decline, and even the downhill ski area is hitting some bumps as people cut back on expensive vacations and second homes.
And we have Charlotte Albright with us, who actually interviewed a town. And Charlotte, maybe you can sort of give us the background.
So this is a piece about how a town convinces a lot of private landowners to be generous for the larger good.
All right, so let's take a look at the segment.
There is an economic engine chugging along very nicely year-round. It's powered by visionaries and by volunteers, and to a mountain biker, it is heaven. Let's find out more about Kingdom Trails from a man who helped to blaze them. It's really a community coming together to make its own local economy better, is that right?
Yeah, we don't have any easements. We do have landowner agreements with all of the landowners, and we provide them with liability insurance, but actually the state landowner protection laws are very strong in Vermont, and we haven't used our liability insurance yet, and I hope it continues that way.
So how's it helped you here at the store?
You're not going to have a successful mountain bike store in a rural area unless you have a way to get people here and a reason for them to come.
And they certainly come, and they come from Canada a lot, by the way. So, but they're also locals who bike here. So even tonight, they're going to gather here, and everybody's going to go tear up the mountain, right?
Oh, there have been people here all day, and there'll be people here right until dark.
I guess I better let you go and get on your bike.
All right.
Tim Tierney is Executive Director, and Tim, tell us exactly how you know that Kingdom Trails has an economic impact on this region.
Well, in the past 6 years, since 2004, we have a 20% growth annually in biker visits here. So we know just by pure numbers that people are coming here and they're spending their money, they're camping, they're eating at the restaurants. And we also had an economic impact study, and it shows that people spend on average here, we think conservatively, $100 per visit. So last year, with the amount of people we had, we figured we brought $3.5 million to the area, conservatively. And we know these people are average age around 37 years old, and they're urban professionals from Boston or Montreal. So we know that this has made a big difference in the area.
So Rob Elms, let's turn to you. You have been a board member and the head of the board at a very strategic time. So you know what the challenges are going forward. What do you think they are?
Probably the top priority is maintaining a positive relationship with our landowners, because most of our trail system is on private land. So that's number one challenge I see.
So here's another sign that the biking culture here breeds entrepreneurs. This is Bike Art by Dorian McGowan. So
So how does this tiny remote town weather hard economic times? Well, they mix social capital, unselfish landowners, with natural assets. That's gorgeous terrain. You know, the typical mountain biker doesn't spend a lot of money, not at one time. Not the way a downhill skier might spend a lot of money, say, in the middle of January. But mountain bikers, and in the winter cross-country skiers, spend a little money every day all year long, and it trickles down to this village. So that's the road to economic health and economic wealth in East Burke, Vermont.
It's fantastic to see a town think this way. You know, I've often thought about, and we've talked about, why don't towns think more entrepreneurially as well? I mean, and to gather together and look at what they do have to start to nurture commerce.
Which are the two great points that come out of this story. First, we see how individuals can be entrepreneurial and go to a town and get a town support, or go to a village and get the village support for a great idea that would benefit a business and a town. But for a town itself to be entrepreneurial and then take a good look and see what its assets are and turn those assets into a viable business is really a great, fantastic lesson for other towns and other communities.
I don't want to leave the impression that the town was the first driver of all this. Citizens, local residents who started the nonprofit, that's an important point. And then they certainly got some backing from the town morally, but not financially. So it's a bunch of people in the town. I think that's an important point.
Do you have a merchant association?
No, it's not big enough for a merchant association.
Okay.
Very small town. That's what people come for. That's what they're paying for. That's the brand.
Fantastic. I hope a lot of towns are listening.
I do too. Thank you.
You and I both live in a world where we're seeing a lot of people in a panic, a lot of people who really don't know what to do, a lot of people that are frozen in fear. But today was really inspiring for me. I mean, it was really about people who are making a difference and bringing their vision to life. I mean, I feel better.
and an abundance of ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually makes you believe that there really is a life out there. There's real opportunity out there.
Absolutely.
We'll leave it at that for now.
We will.
Thanks for coming, folks.
See you later.
Bye now. Mixology class, anybody? Cheers.